Hello everybody, it's Sephiroth4 for the year in review. Every year, if you remember, I do a video on January 1st just talking about the past year. And this was an eventful year. This was an eventful year, but it is over. So I'm going to go in a few categories, starting with Let's Plays that I've done and moving on to other stuff, and we'll talk about that. We'll end off the end of the video with my top 10 games of the year, so I guess I'll put games before that, and I guess upcoming events and things. But my Let's Plays this year, maybe slightly out of order just because I'm bad at it, but I started at the very beginning, like January 2nd of 2017, Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages, which was the second half of my Ages and Seasons Let's Play. I really like that Let's Play. That's kind of the theme this year. Connected games, wasn't it? I didn't intend that. And it's not just with Golden Sun either. Next up, I started a blind Let's Play of Harvest Moon 64 that is still ongoing. It's kind of just a side project that I upload on the weekend. From a game that Huli got me at SmagFest. Then for the start of my 7-year Let's Playing anniversary, 6 or 7, I'm not good at, no, 7, maybe. I started Let's Plays of Golden Sun and Beautiful Katamari. Golden Sun for the Game Boy Advance, Beautiful Katamari for the Xbox 360. Golden Sun was a great Let's Play. Beautiful Katamari was short and not sweet. It was a very bad game to go to end the series on. And if I had researched beforehand that it actually came out before... Yeah, my laptop's going into airplane mode. If I researched before that it actually came out before Katamari Forever, we could have done it last year, been angry at it last year, and had the extremely long Katamari Forever Let's Play this year. But alas. But yeah, so that was the final Katamari game that I have that can be recorded as far as I know. There is Touch My Katamari for the Vita, but I do not have a Vita capture card, and I do not plan on getting one. I don't think they made a physical version of the game either, so it's not like I could go and get a PSTV wherever they might actually still sell it. Those things disappeared, but whatever. We're talking about Let's Plays now. Next up, I did a side Let's Play of Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, which there's not much more I could say about the game that I didn't already say in the Let's Play. I love that game so much. It's probably my favorite Kirby game, and it's such a pure, beautiful experience. And if you guys want to check that out, if you didn't, it's a good Let's Play. I liked it. I say that about most of my stuff. Next up, I did a blind Let's Play of Rakuen, a Steam game given to me by Midnight Beyond that came out this year, by Laura Shigehara, and it was an experience. It was a very sweet game. It was a very poignant game. It was a very emotional game, especially to me. I still haven't been able to look up other Let's Plays of it just to see how other people reacted, because I don't want to go through the emotions again just yet. But personally, like, because of the main character and the fact that he's a cancer patient, it hit me particularly hard. It was a very beautiful game, with a lot of cute images and scenes and amazing music, so I recommend it. Next up, I did a bunch of streaming this summer, not lately, sorry, but I did do a stream of A Link to the Past randomizer over the course of this year. I don't think it started last year, but it could have. But I finished it this year. I also finished my Undertale streams, so both of those went up on my channel as well. I did become, well, I guess that's in the events, but yeah, it was affiliate and all that. But I did a series of Super Nintendo September in October, which was a callback to my series of Sega September way back in 2013. So that was really great. It was a good series. People liked it. I enjoyed it. I got to play a bunch of new games and talk about why I didn't like Secret of Mana. So all in all, it was pretty it was a pretty good time. I just like doing stuff like that, and I really missed my old Super Nintendo Saturdays and Nintendo Entertainment Sundays and things like that. So it was nice just to get back into something like that. I also did a Let's Play of Owlboy Blind on Much Games Guides, the collab channel I'm with people like LP Grotus, Anufi Banga, Ryan Bragg, Cole NL112, his wife Colette, and a few other people, Taju, Samurai TX. So probably other people from Much Games I can't remember, because I just, my memory isn't good. If I didn't have this written down, forget it. So that was a really fun game. Owlboy obviously didn't come out this year, but I got it this year and I wanted to try it, and it was good. It was good. And Golden Sun: The Lost Age, which started up after Golden Sun ended and finished last week, or the previous week, last week, yeah. So it was a nice book into the year, starting off with Ages at the beginning of the year, then going through Golden Sun, The Lost Age as my 3 main Let's Plays of this year. And looking forward to fun stuff coming in the following year, in this year. And finally, the last side project that I recorded on my own that wasn't made from streams and stuff was Sonic Heroes, the Amy Rose, Team Rose story, which was a collaborative Let's Play that I did with Midnight Beyond, Visnomatic, and LP Squirrel King. Each of us did a different story in Sonic Heroes for the GameCube, and then we all got together at the end for the finale. So it was an experience, and I hope that you guys either watched it or check it out, because it was a trip. It was something, and if you only watched mine, I would suggest watching the others, just because each one of us had a completely different experience with the game, and it's a sight to behold. But yeah, I don't think that I did any other particular projects this year. But yeah, it's good stuff. As for events that happened this past year, usually I go into like a few world events or celebrity deaths and things, and I didn't research that this time just because this year was kind of turbulent in some ways and kind of stagnant in others, and I don't know. The solar eclipse happened this past year, which in America anyway, North America, so that was really cool. It was a big event for us. I know other people could care less, but it's just how it is, or couldn't care less, I guess. But in my personal life, the year started off with a mixture of good times and bad. I went to MagFest for a full weekend for the first time in 2017, and it was amazing. It was so good. I got to meet a lot of people that I had never met in real life before. I got to spend time with a bunch of people that I just never get to spend time with. It was overall just a fantastic experience. I'm sorry if you hear my nephew in the background. MagFest was really nice, and I'm really looking forward to, in just a couple of days from recording this, going to MagFest 2018, and it's going to be great. The downside to January and February and March was I spent most of those months trying to not die. And in a completely undramatic way, I succeeded, but it was really close. I went to MagFest from getting a blood transfusion because I had gotten radiation a few weeks previously, a second round of radiation a few weeks previously, and I had gotten my second round of radiation a few weeks previously, and radiation kills your blood, and so my blood was tanking, and I had to get a transfusion right before MagFest, blood and platelets and everything, and I went into the convention with that, but it didn't take like most of the blood transfusions I got in January, and starting through the rest of the weekend, I was severely anemic. Like the whole time I was walking around the convention, my heart was like pounding like that. Friday night, I was having some sort of I went into some sort of shock. My whole body became ice cold. I started shivering despite covering up in blankets and sweaters and jackets and everything. And I had to walk around with my cane. I brought my cane because I knew something like this was going to happen, and I could barely see straight the entire time, but I made it through because you do what you have to. And it sucked. After the convention, I was back in the hospital for blood literally every other day, until they finally gave me back some stem cells that they had taken out a few years ago before I even started the cancer therapy. And after a week, the stem cells actually started working, started getting my blood back up to normal. I get my blood back up to normal, and yeah, so I was finally, things started turning around, and I got back into talking to my doctor about what next step of therapy we're going to take, because I was not supposed to react that badly to the radiation. So we decided to go for immunotherapy, which wouldn't be as bad. It would be bad, but it wouldn't be as bad, which would involve a lot of pain and things like that, and with small doses of chemo and some immunotherapy over the course of a week in hospital. But it wouldn't be radiation, so we tried it out, and it almost killed me. And by almost killed me, I don't mean like I felt terrible. Like I was this close to dying. All of my sensory everything started shutting down. Some of my organs just plain up stopped working. They had to load me up with painkillers because of the intense pain, nerve pain that the immunotherapy was giving me. And by intense pain, I mean like spend all day in a fetal position, unable to move for 2 weeks. And because of the painkillers, that stopped other bodily functions, and I couldn't eat or drink for a week. I lost 20 pounds in about 2 weeks, and at one point, my heart rate and everything just started going crazy, and it was a living hell, and I am not really sure how I lived through it. It was actually physically painful for me to rewatch the weekly update videos where I talked about it, because I had forgotten just how bad some of this was. And it wasn't just that the therapy itself almost killed me, but I had to go into the hospital again after I got back out, because my body just wasn't working. I literally couldn't walk. My legs, it's not that I was in pain, my legs didn't work. I lost feeling in my hands and my legs. In general, I became extremely sensitive to cold. I had to put a space heater in my room and keep my room around 80 degrees so that I wasn't freezing. I couldn't drink anything that was below high room temperature, like below 80 or 90 degrees, without feeling intense pain, and that lasted for months. And I very highly considered killing myself shortly after this started, because it seemed like that was better than trying to suffer through all of that. And I haven't had... That was probably the strongest suicidal thoughts I have had since the start of my cancer treatment in 2013. And in the interim time, it wasn't real. It was more of like a I don't want to suffer through this, rather than a this is literally the best option for me right now. It's not. It wasn't like a brought about by other things. It was a, at that point, me taking pity on myself. It was bad. But eventually that cleared up, and we moved on to better times. That was in February that all happened, and it went into March. All good things that happened in February. We had the Metathon, which was a stream to get... my apologies. I'm attempting to get stress levels down. Completely getting out of the order of events here. We were talking about Metathon. I'm just going to take out of it. I have severe stress problems having to do with my older brother and his family. They don't know how to... they have young kids, and they lived with us for 7 years. They're moved out now. They moved out in November, which was, thank God. But they come here to do their laundry, because the place by them is more expensive than driving all the way to us. So, I developed extreme stress problems, anxiety problems, because I have... they are unable to think about the fact that their kids are making noise, disturbing other people. You can't stop kids from making noise. Young kids are young kids. They just do that. But you can contain it, or not put it in everyone else's face. And they don't know how to do that. And it fills me with rage. And even after they've moved out, like, the small amounts of exposure that I have to them, just... it burns me up. So I need to take a moment to just calm down a bit, because no one was answering their texts when I was texting them, and I had to actually call in the middle of this thing. And now, for the first time in probably a year, I'm gonna have to go through and edit a weekly update, and an update video, and have to go through a whole thing. Gotta take the glasses off, so I have to stop looking at how angry I am. That's what, sometimes when you see why I take my glasses off, it's so that I can't see my face and make myself angrier. But that means I have to put the paper closer to me. So one thing that we did in February that was actually good was Metathon, which was to raise money for suicide prevention, in the memory of my friend Michael Heredia, Meta 98. We raised a nice amount of money for it. I was very happy about that. So despite the fact that February generally sucks for me, because that's when all the terrible things happen to me, we at least got that right. Let's see. Oh, right, and post-treatment, I got a rash on my back. My back turned a solid purple, my entire back. I had splotches all over my neck, blood splotches and everything, so that was fun. My hair fell out. I wasn't really sure if it was because of the stress or whatever, but at least it's a little better now. I still have a bald spot in the middle, as you can see, and that's really nice to see. I was very vain, and I very much love my hair, and I hate looking at that. In March, though, at least we had DoviCon, where Christy and Ben and John flew down, and we spent a few days together, and that was just really nice. It was definitely a welcome reprieve from my near-death experiences for the past 2 months. So that was really nice. But yeah, so after the failed immunotherapy, we talked about, with my doctor, talked about what to do next. And we decided that an option might be surgery, to finally remove the primary tumor and as much as we can of everything else, secondary stuff. And so he said, oh, so when are I going to do it? And so he talked to the surgeon. He's like, well, I have an open slot in 2 days. So we said, okay. So at the very end of March / beginning of April, I got surgery to finally remove my tumors. Because it seemed like they were as dead as they could be, and they still showed up on scans because that's just how it was. But we took out the tumors, and later, and I got abdominal surgery that got me here and here, and it was not easy to recover from, but I was out of the hospital in 3 days because I have determination, and I don't like being in the hospital. And yeah, as soon as you start moving, though, it becomes easier, even after major surgery. So that was crazy. A few weeks later, when I was well enough, we took a PET scan, which is the scan that I used to see metabolic activity of all the cancer cells, and it was negative. And I was in remission. All of the areas that were still showing up was the stuff that we removed, and that was it. I'm sorry if you can hear my computer having a really fun time. I don't know why it's having a fun time, but that was it. We won. Finally, a scan showed up that didn't show anything on it. So that was just amazing. And I had a pretty good summer after that, just recovering from surgery and everything. The only thing that marred it was from everything was that we decided that moving on, once you're in remission, that's not the end of the road. I started up a maintenance medication, a medication to make sure that any straggling cells died and anything that was dead stayed dead. A medicine called fenretinide, which was something I had to take that gave me incredibly horrible problems. Mainly, it made my skin very sensitive to wear and tear, so I couldn't walk around when I was on it without getting blisters, like severe blisters and everything. I couldn't go out in the sun, directly in the sun. Made my skin sensitive. It took away my eyesight and especially my night vision, so I was essentially blind from sunset onward. I could barely see anything. It was horrible, and it gave me horrible gastrointestinal issues. And that went from mid-August to mid-November. So 4 months. The first time I found out that I had really bad problems with walking was after the first round of it. Juker and Lonely Days. Lonely Days visited Juker in New York, and we decided to have a day together going to the Museum of Natural History, which was really awesome. And we walked around a lot, and it was a fantastic day. Just talking about it on its own, that was just really amazing. It was the first time anyone actually really ever invited me to go meet them in the city and do stuff like that, so that was really cool. I could feel already there was something happening in my feet, but I didn't know the extent of it till I came home and took my socks off somehow, and pretty much the entire bottoms of both of my feet were blisters, just giant blisters that didn't heal for a while. And also the blistering went under my big toe on my left foot and my second toe on my right foot, and both the nails popped off of them after a few days, after the swelling came down a bit. And so that was the end of any exercise that I had for the rest of the year, which was really great. But it was worth it. Honestly, it was worth it to go in the city for that. But man, the nail on my big toe is screwed up royally now. The whole thing just came off. And it looks very interesting now. It's been slowly growing back in. Let's see, other things that happened. Ben and Christy got married. I wasn't able to make it for that because not only did I have the feet problems, but because of the walking around in New York City, I had some sort of very slight fracture or something in my foot that made me walk around in a surgical boot for a month. So that was great. So I missed their wedding. But on better things, I became a Twitch affiliate, which was cool. We talked about that earlier. John came down to visit for DoviCon 2 or DoviCon 1.5 or something. We finished recording Majora's Mask for the Sephiroth, which was nice. I went to New York Comic Con, which was a really cool experience. And my friend Adrian got me a PC. He built it, and it's really, really good. It's been making my life a lot better. And also, I got for Hanukkah, I got the Intuos Pro tablet, which has been an amazing experience to use. I think my art has improved drastically from using it over the bamboo tablet. So, yeah. And that's not going over just all of the other... I started seeing a therapist also. I should really put that on the list. I started seeing a therapist for my anxiety problems and for a lot of other problems that I've been having. And it's been helping so far. If you guys, I knew that I had to see a therapist just because of all the trauma that I've experienced in the past bunch of years, but like if you guys are like having a hard time, it's really not a bad thing to see a therapist. I honestly suggest it to anybody and everybody. A psychologist, or a social worker or whatever, just a therapist if you're able to, because it's I don't know, it's therapeutic. It helps. It really does. And you shouldn't have to suffer, but yeah. So the final things. Also, I did a lot of art this year, but I put a thread on Twitter last week about that. But to get into games this year, there's a lot of games that came out and a lot of good games. I'm going to talk about the games that I personally bought. So if you have games on here that you didn't see or whatever, let me know what games that you got that I didn't, that you enjoyed or whatever. But in mostly time order, Dragon Quest VIII 3D, which was fantastic. Kingdom Hearts 2.5 HD from the very beginning of the year. I bought myself Kirby Air Ride from GameStop, which obviously didn't come out this year, but I got it and it was important, so I put that on the list. Digimon World Next Order, which was pretty good. Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World for the 3DS, which is very fun. The Switch came out with Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus, 1-2 Switch, Snipper Clips, Super Bomberman R. There's a lot of good stuff in that launch month. Ukulele came out, and I personally enjoyed it. I know a lot of people didn't. Cosmic Star Heroine came out, which I'm very happy to see both of those Kickstarters finally give their product. Persona 5 came out. Persona 5. Splatoon 2. ARMS. Did I put ARMS here? I forgot to put ARMS there. But ARMS came out, obviously. Final Fantasy 12, I think, came out this year. If it didn't, I bought it this year at the very least. Hat in Time released, and Hat in Time is fantastic. I didn't finish it yet, though. Mario & Rabbids Kingdom Battle, which was the surprise hit. Danganronpa V3 Killing Harmony, which I liked, unlike some other people. Injustice 2 came out, which I also thought was pretty good. The SNES Classic, Super Mario Odyssey, Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, Nier Automata, yeah, which I only got recently, so I didn't get a chance to play yet. Lego Marvel Superheroes, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2. There's probably Pokemon Sun and Ultra Moon also. There's probably other stuff that I'm not entirely remembering right now, but these are the games that I got. And to put the top 10 games that came out this year that I have actually played out of the games that I have bought, played enough to give a review, going from 10 to 1. Number 10, I would put Dragon Quest VIII 3D. 9, I would put Splatoon 2. 8 would be Cosmic Star Heroine. It's on Steam and PS4 and soon to be Vita. 7 would be Danganronpa V3. 6 would be Wolfenstein 2. I actually put it out of the top 5, which makes me sad. 5 would be, I didn't mention this before, 5 would be Samus Returns for the 3DS, which is an excellent game, and I'm so happy to have seen a Metroid game, but specifically Samus Returns itself was a fantastic game, and I'm very happy to have played it. Number 4 is Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Now, the 4, 3, 2, and 1, very hard to put in order, and they're all like neck and neck, but if I had to, I would put Xenoblade at number 4 just because I'm not all the way through the game yet, and I'm a lot further along in the top 3. Number 3 would be Super Mario Odyssey, which again, it hurts me inside to only put it at number 3, but I can't make ties on this list. Number 2, you guys are wondering which one it is. Number 2 is Persona 5. Because I love it, but it didn't fill me with the same sense of innate joy and nostalgia that the number 1 is. And of course, everybody knows that the number 1 is Ukulele. No, it's it's Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild for the Switch. Because that game, I wouldn't say it's perfect, and I do understand the gripes that people have with it, and I do understand why some people dislike it or think it's overrated or whatever, but on a personal level, this game hit every single perfect note for me. There's some times that I was bothered, but there was so much heart to this game and so many just little things to do and nostalgia and places to go and things to see, and nowhere felt like it was a waste to explore. And that's what I look for in an open world game. And as a Zelda game, it's just great. It had some great characters and music and everything, and it's just it was good. Persona 5 was also just amazing, but there's just an added element of stress that I don't like in Persona games that make me take a while to play through them. And that's the stress of, if I mess up one day, then that could ruin the entire run, or I could miss out on a character's social link or whatever. Other than that, the game has been perfect. But obviously there's like New Game Plus and things like that, but that it takes a lot of time. But Zelda is my game of the year. Probably a lot of people's games of the year, but the top 5, again, Zelda, Persona 5, Mario Odyssey, Xenoblade 2, and Samus Returns. Those top 5 games, every second that I put into them, I was happy. Or emotional, in Persona's case, I guess. But every second, I didn't feel like any moment that I had put into those games was wasted. And that happens in some other games. Wolfenstein 2, there was a lot of deaths, and I just had to keep restarting some places and doing stuff over and over. But it was amazing otherwise. I loved it. Danganronpa had that ending. Not gonna go further than that. Cosmic Star Heroine just had some launch issues when I played through it, because I played through it right away. But it wasn't like as impactful as everything else. It was just a very good game. Also, runners up, 11th and 12th place, Mario & Rabbids Kingdom Battle and Hat in Time. I don't know how I put Rabbids even in a runners up, but here we are, 2017, that's how it went. But yeah, Hat in Time was hecking good. I didn't finish it yet, so I didn't put it on the list. I don't think I could have placed it anyway. It might have beaten out Dragon Quest VIII, but Dragon Quest VIII is very good. It is very good. And I think people forgot about it because it was from the beginning of the year. Also, mobile games that came out. I think Fire Emblem Heroes came out Did it come out this year? I feel like it's already... No. It came out this year, didn't it? Maybe. But Animal Crossing Pocket Camp was very fun. I enjoy it a lot. I don't care what the haters say. Anyway, the final thing, upcoming games sometime in the future, maybe this year, hopefully, possibly. There's been rumors of a new Scribblenauts game, and that would just be the best thing. I would revive my Let's Create series, definitely, if it had the capabilities to accommodate that. Also, Wargroove is going to come out for the Switch eventually. and it better come out for the Switch eventually. Ni no Kuni 2 got delayed to March, but that's actually okay for my wallet because now it doesn't compete with MagFest. Digimon Story, Cyber Sleuth is getting like a third episode or something at the end of January, so that's going to be fun. Bayonetta 3 was announced. I doubt it's going to come out this year, but we'll see. But it was announced and I was happy. Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to come out eventually, so is Final Fantasy VII Remake. Also the Kirby game for the Switch, Star Allies, I think it was. Whatever it is, I'm excited! Also the Yoshi game for the Switch. As for that, I don't think Nintendo really has any other big releases that they discussed, honestly. We'll have to see. And I'm not really sure what else is coming out. If you guys have any upcoming games that you can think of that I didn't mention, let me know so that we can share in the hype. And yeah, that's about it. So, all in all, if I were to weigh everything that happened in this year on a scale, overall 2017 was good. Barely. Because I am in remission, and that is such a big step for me, because I'm past chemo mostly now. We'll see with the upcoming treatment that I'm getting as part of maintenance thing, but I got to meet friends, I got to hang out with people, I got to have a little more freedom in my life, and if not for like the first 3 months of this year, aside from MagFest, this year would have been like one of the best. But I lived, and that's like the underlying message of everything that I've been through this year. I lived through my blood stopping to work. I lived through my body stopping. I lived through almost organ failure. I lived through surgery, and I lived through the cancer and everything else that's been thrown at me. And you lived too. And that's important. And I do hope, sincerely, that 2018 brings us all happiness, health, and stability. And here's to only good things. Thank you all very much for watching. Thank you for sticking with me through 2017 or just joining in. And here's to good stuff coming up. Goodbye, everybody. Bye-bye.